Sure. Here is section 1 of the story, written in a tight, focused style with emotional depth and without unnecessary fluff. Word count is at least 760 words as requested. I used to think love was about choosing the right person. Stability, kindness, shared goals. Ryan checked all the boxes. Our friends called us the golden couple. No drama, no fights, just smooth years of companionship. We bought the house, took the vacations, celebrated anniversaries with planned dinners and matching outfits. From the outside, everything looked right. Inside, I was quietly starving. Ryan's a good man. I say that without irony. He listens, he's thoughtful, he never forgets birthdays or bills. But somewhere along the line, the passion slipped away. The sex faded into obligation, into schedule. A kiss before bed, a quick pat on the back in the kitchen, the same 3 positions in dim light, barely any noise. I can't remember the last time I felt touched like a woman instead of a wife. I don't know when I started resenting that. Maybe it was gradual, like a slow leak you don't notice until your feet are wet. I tried to rationalize it. This is what happens in marriage. You don't get butterflies after a decade. You don't get pinned against walls anymore. You build, you manage, you endure. That's what I told myself. Until I saw Jason's name again. We met in college. He was the kind of man you shouldn't bring home, reckless, loud, and entirely too confident. We weren't in love. We were something worse, obsessed. I'd skip class just to lie in his bed, sweating and tangled. He made me feel like my body was a secret only he knew how to unlock. But I ended it when it got too messy. He didn't want plans. I did. I wanted to grow up, settle down, become someone my parents would approve of. So I chose Ryan. And for a while, I believed I made the right choice. Then one Friday night, my friend Lily invited me for drinks. We hadn't seen each other in months. I went because it felt better than sitting through another silent dinner where Ryan scrolled his phone and I picked at grilled chicken. We ordered a bottle of wine, talked about jobs, aging, husbands. Then she said his name. Did you know Jason's back in town? My glass froze midair. I played dumb. Jason who? Jason Bishop. From campus. You two were, like, intense. She laughed, sipping casually. He opened some gym downtown. He looks good. Real good. I smiled like it meant nothing. Said something polite. Changed the subject. That night I went home and searched his name like a teenager. Found his Instagram. Muscles. Tattoos. That same crooked grin. Hundreds of likes from thirsty women. And yet, one DM from me would still mean something. I didn't send one. Not that night, but I kept checking. I told myself it was curiosity. A reminder of who I used to be. Every night after Ryan fell asleep, I scrolled. A stupid ritual. One glass of wine, one scroll through Jason's latest posts. One sigh. One ache. It was a Thursday when I finally did it. Ryan was out late. I was on the couch in an old t-shirt, 2 drinks in, heart pounding like I was breaking some law. I typed, "Hey stranger," and stared at the screen for 5 minutes before hitting send. He replied in 3, "Dan. Ava. Been a minute." That's all it took. That rush, hot, dangerous, thrilling. Like I'd opened a door I had no business standing near. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. I felt guilty instantly, too. Not because I'd done anything yet, but because I wanted to. So badly. We messaged casually at first. Small talk, college memories, catching up. But it was the undercurrent that pulled me in. The way he typed my name. The way he remembered things I didn't know mattered. You still wear that necklace you used to chew when you were nervous? You still bite your lip when you're mad? I couldn't believe how much he remembered. Ryan couldn't even tell you the last book I read. I told myself I was in control. I told myself it was harmless. But each message chipped away at that lie. He said he wanted to see me. Just coffee. Just to say hi. I said I'd think about it. I already knew the answer. When Ryan kissed my cheek goodnight that Friday, I almost flinched. Not because I didn't love him, but because I didn't want his lips on me. Not then. Not while Jason's voice echoed in my head. It was just a message, just words, just a door cracked slightly open, but even I knew doors like that never stay open halfway. Here is section 2 of the story, written directly, with emotional depth and sensual tension, keeping it focused and without repetition. Word count is a minimum of 760 words, as requested. We met in the late afternoon. He picked the place, discreet, upscale, outside the city. I told Ryan I was having a spa day with Lily. He didn't ask questions. He never did. I left the house dressed like I wasn't supposed to be seen. Nothing too bold, but deliberate. Understated perfume, lips a little too red, blouse a little too fitted. I didn't recognize myself in the elevator mirror, and maybe that's why it felt easier. Jason opened the door the moment I knocked. He was exactly how I remembered, just aged like someone who'd lived. Broader, more settled, but still with that air of danger in his grin. His eyes scanned me from head to toe like I was something rare and expensive. I felt naked before anything even started. We didn't speak much. He poured a drink, and I took it. I didn't want to talk. I didn't come for words. I sat on the edge of the bed, nervous fingers around the glass, pretending I was stronger than I felt. He stood over me, quiet, then leaned down slowly. When he kissed me, it wasn't gentle. It was possession. A reminder. No hesitation. My body reacted faster than my mind could keep up. I didn't stop him when he undid the buttons on my blouse. I didn't flinch when his hands slid beneath the fabric, rough palms against soft skin. I didn't pause when he pulled me up, spun me around, pushed me backward onto the bed like I weighed nothing. Every part of me screamed that this was wrong, and yet every nerve in my body begged for more. I got on my knees for him like I had something to prove. Like I had something to reclaim. His pants hit the floor, and I wrapped my lips around him without ceremony, without pretense, like instinct. Like memory. He tasted like sin and salt and arrogance. I closed my eyes and let myself disappear into the moment. No guilt, no husband, no name. Just the sound of his breath changing, the way his hands tangled in my hair, the weight of him in my mouth, the way his voice growled my name low and filthy. There was no gentleness. It was primal. He used my mouth like he had a right to it, and I let him, hungry for the ache, for the burn in my throat, for the ruin. I wanted to be taken, not cherished. I wanted to be ruined by someone who didn't care about my schedule, my chores, my reputation. When he pulled me up and kissed me again, I tasted him on my tongue and didn't look away. I climbed on top of him and gave him all of it, body, breath, restraint. He gripped my hips and pulled me down onto him like he'd waited years for it. My back arched, my legs shook, and still I wanted more. We didn't speak through any of it. Only sounds. My nails against his chest, his mouth at my throat, our breaths tangled and raw. The bed creaked beneath us, and for once, I didn't care who heard or what it meant. I didn't fake anything. I didn't perform. I surrendered. When it ended, I lay there in the tangle of sheets and sweat, staring at the ceiling, trying to remember how breathing worked. He got up without saying much, took a shower. I stayed in the bed. Every part of me buzzed, but my mind was already folding in on itself. He came out dressed, phone in hand, told me he had somewhere to be. No kiss. No soft goodbye. Just a nod, a smirk, and the sound of the door clicking shut. That was it. My legs still trembled. My heart didn't know what to feel, triumph or collapse. I sat on the edge of the bed, naked, cold, the sheets sticking to the sweat on my skin. I reached for my phone and stared at Ryan's last message. Dinner at 7? I'll grab wine. My chest tightened. My stomach twisted. I didn't reply. I dragged myself into the shower and turned the water as hot as I could stand. Scrubbed every inch of myself until my skin turned red. It didn't help. The scent of him clung to my hair. His fingerprints lived beneath my skin. It wasn't regret I felt. Not exactly. It was confusion. Conflict. A quiet voice asking, "What now?" I didn't have the answer. I dried myself off, got dressed in silence, reapplied my lipstick like none of it had happened, then walked out of that hotel room carrying a secret no one would ever see on my face. Here is section 3 of the story, written directly and concisely, meeting the minimum 760-word requirement and maintaining narrative flow, tension, and emotional consequence, without any repetition or filler. When I got home, the lights were already on. Ryan was in the kitchen, humming quietly while stirring something on the stove. He looked up, smiled like nothing had changed. I smiled back, but it felt borrowed. He asked about brunch. I lied. Said it was fun, uneventful. He handed me a glass of wine and kissed my cheek. I nodded, swallowed, and pretended the guilt wasn't catching fire in my throat. We ate dinner like we always did, light conversation, shared glances, laughter where it was expected. My mind wasn't there. I couldn't taste the food. I watched his hands, the way he cut his steak, the way his lips curled when he told some story about work. I wondered how many nights he'd looked at me like that while I drifted away. Later, in bed, he reached for me. It caught me off guard. We hadn't touched like that in weeks. I froze for half a second, then forced my body to respond. I let him kiss me. I let him take off my clothes. I let him inside me and tried not to think about Jason. I stared at the ceiling, lips parted, making soft noises, mimicking arousal while I kept count in my head. I came close to crying when he whispered, "I've missed this." I mumbled something back. He kissed my forehead afterward. I turned away from him and said I was tired. He held me anyway. I didn't deserve it. The days that followed felt heavy. I moved slower, spoke less. Ryan didn't notice, or if he did, he chose not to ask. I waited for the guilt to fade. It didn't. I tried to hate Jason for being cold after, for walking out like it didn't matter. But I couldn't. He had always been that way. It was me who expected something different. I checked my phone constantly, even though I knew he wouldn't text. I typed messages and deleted them. I stalked his page until he blocked me. I told myself I deserved it. It made it easier to let go. But the silence sat inside me like a wound that wouldn't close. I drank more. Small glasses at first, then bigger ones. Wine after work, then before bed, then sometimes in the morning just to feel nothing for a while. I'd sit in the shower for too long. I'd stare into the mirror and try to recognize the woman looking back. She seemed familiar, but her eyes looked wrong. Older. Hollow point. One night, I wrote everything down. Every detail. From the first message to the last thrust. I addressed it to Ryan. Called it a confession. I cried while writing it, then folded it up, tucked it into a drawer, and stared at it for an hour. I never gave it to him. I told myself it was better this way. That I could fix it by being a better wife. That maybe it was a one-time mistake. But I knew the truth, it wasn't about Jason. It was about me. What I needed. What I stopped asking for. What I'd given up without realizing. Deleting Jason's number felt final. I hovered over the screen, thumb shaking, then pressed it. He was gone from my phone. Not from my mind. I still remembered the way he looked at me, the way my body responded, the way I felt alive for the first time in years. I didn't want him back. I just wanted that version of myself, the one who felt desired, electric, wild. I tried to pour that energy back into my marriage. I cooked more, dressed nicer, kissed Ryan longer, but it all felt artificial. He seemed to appreciate it. Thought maybe I'd turned a corner. I hadn't. I was performing. Trying to bury a truth that kept rising like smoke under a closed door. One morning, I looked at myself for a long time in the bathroom mirror. No makeup. No expression. I thought about everything I'd risked for a single afternoon. I thought about how easy it had been. How fast I'd said yes. I wasn't proud. I wasn't sorry in the way people expect. I didn't regret the act, I regretted what it revealed. That I was capable of betrayal. That I could lie, cheat, fake my way through love and still want more. I learned something that day, something quiet and cruel. You don't always cheat because you don't love someone. Sometimes you do it because you've stopped loving yourself in the version they know. I'd become a ghost in my own life, and for a few hours, Jason made me feel real again. Now I live with the echo. Ryan still laughs at my jokes. Still holds my hand in public. Still believes I'm his. And I let him. Because the truth wouldn't fix anything, it would only break what's left. I wake up every day beside him and pretend I'm whole. I smile, I kiss, I play my part, but there's a part of me, small, silent, hidden, that knows what I did. And that part never lets me forget.